The divorce papers were still warm from the judge's desk when the same woman walked into the city's most dangerous courtroom and volunteered to defend the husband she had just sworn she'd never see again. Everyone thought she'd lost her mind. The prosecutors smiled. The reporters rushed to the front row. Even the Mafia families watching from the shadows couldn't understand why the woman who had finally escaped the most feared crime boss in the city would willingly stand beside him only hours later. But none of them knew what she had discovered inside the divorce file. A secret so devastating that if the truth came out, someone she loved would be dead before sunset. And the man standing in handcuffs, the husband she had just left, was the only person who could save her. There are moments in life that change everything. For Elena Moretti, that moment wasn't the day she married the city's most feared mafia boss. It wasn't the first time she saw blood on his expensive suit. And it wasn't even the countless nights she cried herself to sleep while pretending she didn't hear the bodyguards outside their bedroom. It was the moment she signed her name on the divorce papers. For 3 years, Elena had convinced herself that love could change a dangerous man. She believed kindness could soften violence. She believed patience could heal darkness. Instead, every anniversary felt colder than the last. Her husband, Adrian Moretti, ruled the criminal underworld with absolute power. But inside their mansion, he became someone impossible to understand. He never yelled. He never hit her. He never betrayed her. But he also never truly let her in. There were locked rooms, midnight phone calls, long disappearances, conversations that ended the second she entered the room. It wasn't hate that destroyed their marriage. It was silence. The silence became so heavy that Elena finally walked away. The courtroom was strangely peaceful that morning. No dramatic arguments. No tears. Just 2 signatures. One marriage officially over. As she stepped outside, reporters surrounded her. Everyone expected her to celebrate escaping the infamous Mafia king. Instead, she looked strangely heartbroken, almost guilty, as if leaving him wasn't what she truly wanted. Then everything changed. Before Elena even reached her car, federal agents sped into the courthouse parking lot. Black SUVs, armed officers, chaos. Within seconds, Adrian Moretti was arrested on murder charges that could send him to prison forever. The media exploded. People cheered. His enemies celebrated. And Elena stood completely frozen. Because just before Adrian was pushed into the police vehicle, he looked directly at her. Not with anger. Not with betrayal. With fear. It was the first genuine fear she had ever seen in his eyes. And somehow, it wasn't for himself. That single look refused to leave her mind. Hours later, while collecting the final divorce documents from her lawyer's office, Elena noticed something unusual. A page that didn't belong. Hidden between legal paperwork. No official stamp. No signature. Only one handwritten sentence. They're using your divorce to get close to your sister. Her blood turned cold. No explanation. No name. Nothing else. Just those 9 words. She called her younger sister immediately. No answer. Again. Nothing. A third time. The phone was switched off. That was the moment Elena realized something horrifying. Maybe Adrian hadn't been keeping secrets to protect himself. Maybe he had been protecting her all along. And if that was true, then divorcing him had placed her family directly in someone's crosshairs. So instead of running farther away, she turned around, walked back into the courthouse, and volunteered to become the defense attorney for the man she had divorced only hours earlier. Because somewhere inside this impossible story, love had never actually disappeared. It had simply been buried beneath secrets. And Elena was about to discover that some secrets are worth killing for. Elena Moretti had spent 3 years believing she was invisible inside her own marriage. To the outside world, she lived a dream. Luxury cars, a beautiful mansion, designer dresses, a husband whose name made powerful men lower their voices. But behind closed doors, she felt painfully alone. Adrian loved her in ways she could never understand. He memorized her favorite flowers. He never forgot her birthday. He secretly donated to charities she admired. Yet every time she asked him where he disappeared at night, he answered with the same painful silence. Eventually, silence became loneliness. Loneliness became exhaustion. And exhaustion became divorce. Adrian never begged her to stay. That hurt more than anything. She believed it meant he had stopped loving her. She couldn't have been more wrong. The arrest changed everything. The note inside the divorce file destroyed everything she thought she knew. Instead of celebrating her freedom, Elena found herself sitting across from Adrian in a prison interview room. He looked tired, older, as though he had been carrying an unbearable weight alone. For the first time in years, he smiled, not because she had returned, because she was still alive. That confused her even more. If he never loved her, why did relief fill his eyes instead of resentment? Before she could ask, the guards ended the meeting. She left with more questions than answers. While preparing Adrian's legal defense, Elena uncovered something impossible. Years earlier, her father had unknowingly witnessed a financial operation involving powerful politicians and organized crime. He was supposed to disappear forever. Instead, Adrian secretly erased every piece of evidence connecting Elena's family to the incident. Doing so made him enemies inside his own organization. For years, he accepted being misunderstood because telling Elena the truth would only make her a target. Every cold goodbye, every missed anniversary, every late-night disappearance had been another attempt to keep assassins away from his wife. The more Elena learned, the heavier her guilt became. She remembered every accusation she had thrown at him, every tear, every moment she believed he simply didn't care. The reality was heartbreaking. He had loved her quietly, completely, selflessly. But love without honesty had slowly destroyed both of them. Then another devastating discovery arrived. The murder Adrian was accused of never happened. The supposed victim had staged his own death. The trial itself was only bait. Someone wanted Adrian locked inside a courtroom long enough for Elena's sister to be kidnapped. Elena finally understood why the warning note had appeared. The divorce had made her vulnerable. Without Adrian's protection, his enemies believed they finally had access to the people he loved most. Time was running out. The final day of the trial became the most emotional day of Elena's life. Standing before the court, she dismantled every lie in the prosecution's case. One document, one witness, one hidden bank transfer, one impossible timeline. Piece by piece, the false murder case collapsed. But winning the case wasn't enough. Elena still had to find her sister. Following clues Adrian had hidden years earlier inside letters, photographs, and even anniversary gifts she had barely noticed. Elena uncovered the location where her sister was being held. She realized Adrian had always prepared escape plans for her family, hoping they would never be needed. By the time authorities arrived, her sister was rescued safely. The people responsible were arrested without Adrian ever leaving the courtroom. When the jury declared Adrian not guilty, applause filled the courtroom. Yet Adrian didn't celebrate. He simply walked toward Elena. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Because some emotions become too large for words. Elena finally understood the greatest mistake of their marriage. She had mistaken silence for lack of love. He had mistaken protection for love. Both had been wrong. Outside the courthouse, Adrian quietly handed her a small envelope. Inside was the wedding ring he had never stopped carrying after she filed for divorce. Alongside it rested a handwritten letter. It explained that every time he disappeared, he wrote another page in case he never returned. The final sentence made Elena cry. If loving you means you hate me, but live a long life, I would choose that every single time. For the first time since they met, Adrian told her everything. No more secrets. No more locked doors. No more silent sacrifices. Elena smiled through tears. She slid the ring back onto her finger. Not because they were returning to the life they once had, but because they were finally choosing a new one. A marriage built not on fear, but on trust. The city would always remember the day a woman divorced the most feared Mafia boss, then defended him in court just hours later. People believed it was the greatest legal surprise of the year. Only Elena and Adrian knew the truth. It wasn't a courtroom victory. It was the day two people finally stopped protecting each other with silence and started loving each other with honesty. The end.